Welcome back to the Anachroschism. When we left off last time, the party had made their way to Kalisabia, a sweltering desert town, although they haven't seen the sweltering side of it yet because they arrived at the late nighttime. But instead, they were welcomed to a somewhat cold place. Not as cold as the last place they had been for a shrine. That was excessively cold up in Frosthaven and the surrounding area. Here, they have found a city of lights, a city of a lot of overhangs on rooftops, supposedly a lot of pickpockets. Haven't seen any of those yet, so who knows? Could have been lied to.
So no one wanted to build a shrine in like a tropical paradise, huh? It's like the coldest cold or the hottest hot.
There could be a tropical paradise.
Man, I hope so.
That'd be nice. Nice change of pace.
Well, the thing you have to remember is that they're all tied to the elements, and the elements are at their most extreme in places where people didn't choose to settle down because that would have been crazy. It's already hot enough here as it is.
So far have chosen to settle down in all the places we visited.
Maybe we'll go to the elements of extreme beauty soon.
Oh, God.
Go to the element of vast riches.
Is this like Heart? Is this like Captain Planet? Like it's not a real element, but we're just gonna toss it in there?
Yeah,
absolutely. So that was after Isaac had a run-in with his dad and shot him and got a memory and had a coma. Just to put that out there in case you don't remember.
Shot him in the head.
Gloss harder.
Oh,
gloss harder.
Thank you.
Did you shoot him in the heart?
I did.
Yeah, I shot him in the heart.
Shot him in the heart. Because I had a
And
really
he's to
good
blame.
one-liner about that, and then I shot him in the heart.
And then you fell over.
And then I...
But Tessian caught you, which was romantic.
that was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, when we left off, specifically last time, Isaac was resting up in the hotel room that they had procured. A nice hotel room, since Tessian was able to make nice with the person handing out the keys.
I gilded some palms.
Yeah, which was the name, and he fit the spirit perfectly. So Isaac's resting up because he has a level of exhaustion from his ordeal going into a brief coma. And Lena's with him, sort of keeping an eye on things and also trying to ascertain the location of the next shrine more precisely, which we already kind of dealt with at the end of last time.
Mm-hmm.
And as that was happening, Tessian and Karash went off, did a bit of shopping, because that's Karash's favorite thing, and have now decided on their way back to stop by the casino, just to see, what might be going on there. Karash's reason's actually known, but Tessian doesn't exactly know it. He probably has a hunch.
Man, with my lucky feet, I need to go to a casino.
Dude.
So I was built for that.
You would kill it. Or gamble all of our money away.
Yeah, or blow all the 3 uses of your lucky feet before we go to a dangerous dungeon. It sounds like a wonderful use of it.
But he'll be paid when you go to that dungeon.
Some dragon will try to eat you, and you'll fail, and you'll be like, but at least I won blackjack.
And here's the other problem. How much can the luck save you if the games are rigged?
I don't know. Maybe I get so lucky I...
Like, you got an 11 showing in blackjack, and you're like, all right, it's a 3 comes off the deck. And you're like, no, re-roll it. Give me another one. And it's a 9. You're like, 20. And the dealer flips over 21. You're like, shit. Anyways. It is getting to be around midnight as Tessian and Karash, you make your way to what is difficult to avoid, even with the coverings on the rooftops that kind of block your vision of the city as a whole, other than some gaps in between. Because of the spotlights and the fact that it's easily the brightest part of town, it is not difficult to make your way to the casino from any part of the city. It is pretty centrally located, and what you're finding as you sort of walk around the city after having completed your shopping is that there is sort of like a central path through town running north and south that has some separation to it. That's not the same structure as the rest of the surrounding smaller streets that have a lot of the things built over the top, to where if you choose to make your way there, it's entirely up to you guys, but you can see it pretty easily, and it does open up to the point where it's a lot easier to sort of see where you're going. And as you do so, whether you're in it or not, you can see just this bright dome with the Magi technology equivalent of spotlights just going. The question that comes to mind is, why are these even necessary? The building sticks out like a sore thumb as it is. They're not attracting anybody from surrounding towns because, to your knowledge, there are none. So, if anything, it strikes you as being needlessly opulent. Like, there's a lot of money going to and from here. Yeah, essentially. So it's like, we have the power and the money to flaunt this, and we're going to do it. Fuck it. So as you make your way to the prismatic wheel, as you're approaching it from the outside, there's even more light being given off from the inside. It almost like hurts your eyes because you're coming in from the dark especially. But you can still see inside there are a lot of people. The streets have already been more busy than normal, as mentioned last time. There's more people out and about this time of night than you'd expect. It's getting late. Several of the other cities, particularly Waychester, sort of like close up at a certain point as it gets into the evening. That does not seem to be the case in this particular city, and certainly not in this particular establishment.
Tessian, you've been in a casino before.
Yes, I have.
Who would be a good person to talk to find out who has been here?
Well, I suppose it depends. I assume you are looking for more of your kin?
Yes.
Well, I suppose we could always just ask the ones guarding the door. I'll admit you've run into something of a problem if you're trying to look here. I suspect if any of your kin have made a substantial amount of money here, then it's in the casino's best interest to exert discretion in their presence there. They may not like people wandering off the street looking for their high rollers, as it were. But we can certainly ask around. We may have to grease a few more palms, but I suppose it's worth a look.
I had not considered that. I think we should ask anyway.
Fair enough. But yeah, I guess we'll go in and... Is it guarded? Do they have like a bouncer or bouncers? What's the door situation?
So there is a very wide opening on the exterior to allow people inside. There are 2 guards posted there in full suits. Both human males from the looks of it, who do not appear to really be paying anybody any mind as they come and go. They're not asking anybody questions or searching anyone as they enter or exit this large structure. So they're there either just to keep an eye on things, surveillance, whatever, but they're not directly accosting anybody who tries to step through. But you're welcome to go up to one of them if you'd like.
I'm going to approach one.
Okay.
I don't think this is a good idea now. Excuse me. Do you know if anyone who looks like me has been here recently? A dragonborn of blue scales.
Security man kind of gives you the once-over. Seems a little surprised to see someone who looks like you.
Ooh.
Says, wow. Yeah, take that, casual racism. Says, yeah, there's 1 or 2 of your kind we see on a regular basis here. Pretty frequent visitors, from what I remember.
They live in the town?
I think so. Almost figure they have to as often as they come here.
Do you know who I could speak to? Who might give me more information? They are my family, and I have been looking for them for some time.
And in an eerily reminiscent parodying of what Tessian said earlier, he says, well, we don't often disclose information about our clients. Some of them want to be more secretive. Some of them don't want others to know they're here, especially if they're playing for large table sums. They might not want others to know their location at all times, but...
Could I get a message to them from someone who works here?
He seems a little bit bothered by the request, because he's just like, I just want to stand here and get paid to do like nothing right now. But he's like, sure, we could do something like that. That's not unreasonable.
Thank you. I am Karash, Mysterian Karash. If you could let them know that I am here and trying to find anyone from Mysterian, I would be very appreciative. I'm also going to make like I'm going to give him money and then see if that's cool or not. Make a big show of it, because I don't know if that's okay or not. I feel like because it's a casino, there might be rules I don't know.
As you reach for your pocket, as it were, you see his hand go to a crossbow he has at his side. Doesn't try to pull it, but he kind of keeps his hand hovering there as you reach in. As you pull out money instead,
Yeah.
his hand kind of relaxes, goes back to its side, and he goes, well, that'll certainly help our efforts. Sure, if you can leave us some kind of note. I don't know if we'll remember the name, and by the time we see them again, I don't know if we'll still be here on our post, but
All right.
we can pass a note to the pit boss and have them deliver it as soon as they see them again, if that'll work.
Yes, please. I would appreciate it. I'm going to then, in the biggest and dumbest show of exactly who I am, hand him the 10 gold because I don't have a great. Yeah, I don't care. And then I'm going to open up my bag, lay out a piece of paper and a pencil on the floor because that's the only way I know how to do this where we're at. And very carefully try and write out a very brief note.
Oh, he's using it.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Please excuse me a
Tessian
moment.
does ask, like, Karash, do you want me to write that for you really quick?
You can check it when I am done. If I could blush, I would be doing that right now. Just bright
Yes,
red.
step off, Tessian. He's got it.
I will never learn if I don't try myself, damn it. And I'm going to hand over a very poorly written, but legible and understandable, if not grammatically amazing or the perfect spelling, a letter that briefly explains that I am Mysterian Crash and I'm at the Gilded Palm, at least for another day, or I may return if they want to leave their names to or location for them to find me. But briefer. I don't know how to say that in words that Karash would know off the top of my head. I'm not going to sit here and word it out.
That's fine. You're able to convey that basically in the note, and the security man is like, all right, well, since you've been so generous, I'll make sure this gets delivered myself.
Thank you. What is your name, sir?
Oh, good.
I need to know who to ask for.
While
when we
Chris
come
is
back.
looking that up, you
This isn't
didn't
my
say
fault.
Karash of the Thunder.
I know. I said
The
Mysterious
guy's going to be
Crash.
like, Karash of the who? And they can be like, he didn't say.
So I go dipping into the pool of random names that I can burn on this guy we'll probably never see again, and his name is Simamar.
Simamar. Thank you, Simamar.
Simamar. A well-known human name in this world. And he shakes your hand.
Nice to meet you, Simamar. I will remember you if I need to find you again. Thank you.
Sure thing.
All right, I'm ready to go. I'm gonna gesture to Tessian if he wants to go in.
Tessian's like, no, I'm good. We should probably rest up before tomorrow.
Oh, I assumed you wanted to gamble.
No, actually, I'm good.
Okay. Let's go home then. Or go back to the inn. I would like to sleep if we have no other reason to be out.
I assumed you wanted to ask about your people, so I figured we could tag along, but I have no reason to be there myself.
Okay. That is fine. You will have to explain to me the casino games at some point.
We can certainly visit at some point, but I think for now we should probably focus on our journey since we're sort of on the clock.
Wait, what? I'm gonna look down.
There's no physical clock. It means that there's sort of a time limit. You know, a time is of the essence. We're trying to hurry.
Yes, I understand.
If it helps, imagine you are standing on the clock and the hands are getting closer, but they're like giant blades. They might cut you, so you have to move quickly, you know.
Why is everything on this continent so dark?
I couldn't tell you.
I'm gonna head back.
As you guys are making your way back to the Gilded Palm, both of you make me a perception check.
Oh, God. Here we
Oh,
go.
right. I was
Here
still
though.
doing my angry face.
Pickpockets.
Just
Fucking.
For the record, I do not want to be messed with, and I've heard pickpockets once I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's go perception. This will
I
be
have
bad.
noted your angry face.
Angry face.
I rolled a 14, so 15.
18. 8, 8, 8, 8.
18. 8. A0.
Slightly afraid.
Tessian, as the two of you are making your way back, kind of just engaging in small talk about the aphorisms and sayings of the Aramean continent, there's a point at which you feel like out of the corner of your eye you see something moving in the shadows. It darts past and fades from view, goes back further into the alleyway as you're passing it. And having seen it, you're sort of on guard as you keep walking, but nothing else seems to come of it the last few minutes of your walk back to the Gilded Palm.
Okay. Then, I mean, I'll double check all of like the gold on me and stuff. And on Karash as well, I imagine.
All the possessions still seem to be in place, and it didn't seem like anybody approached you out of that. It just seemed like somebody was either watching you from there, or you're not entirely sure because you didn't get a great look at them before they basically vanished from sight. But you did catch somebody in an alleyway seemingly like giving you guys some interest. But all your possessions, valuables, etc. seem to be fine.
Okay. I will kind of lean over to Karash and let him know. I'll say, Karash, I do think we might be... someone's watching us, but don't make a scene of it. I'm sure fancy people like us catch some attention in a place like this, but just be wary.
I will keep my eyes open. Do you think it is dangerous or just thieves?
I'm not sure.
Fine. We will be fine. Cord will protect us.
Of course he will.
You guys make it back safely, can go up to the room to find a resting Isaac and Lena.
I think I'm gonna hang back because like there's that main area where you walk in, and that's where there was a bar there, right?
Yes.
Can I find like a table close by that faces the door, like an empty one, or is it like too busy? Or I want to watch the door. I want to see if someone's following us inside.
I would say table probably too hard to come by for a single person, but seat at the bar where you still have a vantage point on the door is certainly doable.
Okay, I'm just gonna hang out for like 30 minutes or something downstairs and try to keep an eye out, see if anyone follows us in.
Okay.
So I'll try to look at every person that comes in, see if they're looking around for us, see if they make eye contact with me, that sort of thing.
I'm going to go check on Lena and Isaac, and if they're all good, I'm going to let them know.
Be on your guard. There are people about, possibly thieves, possibly following us.
I thought we knew that already. This is Kali Saba, after all.
There was someone specifically following us outside, apparently. So, I don't know. It felt helpful.
Well, thank you, Karash. We'll be on our toes up here.
I'm going to, I'll go back down. I'm going to go down and sit at the bar and try my best to look like I'm nonchalant.
With Tessian or separately?
No, at the bar, like away from Tessian. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm assuming at this point that we have the same thought, or at best that he wants to be alone. So,
because Tessian is at the bar, you can certainly get a stool on the other side or something if you don't want to be with him. But he's over at the bar because most of the tables are full.
Yeah, then I'll just wherever, someplace else.
Okay. So the two of you, independently, separately, not acknowledging each other's presence, kind of keep an eye on things in the downstairs area. Tessian, you're kind of watching the door specifically. There are people coming and going, particularly coming, even though it's getting to be after midnight now. It seems like the place is getting busier rather than less busy at this late hour. But for the most part, the majority of them seem to come in and like acknowledge a group of people at a table and like head over to join that particular group. You know, it's a Cheers effect with Norm. Somebody walks in, like, oh hey, yeah, and they wave them over, and they immediately have somebody bring a drink over for them, and they join in this. You know.
Oh God, that's a very old reference.
Shut up. It's on Netflix.
Hey, it gets referenced in Adventure Time, which makes it slightly more timely.
Their animators aren't our age.
As you're kind of keeping watch down there, nothing else really stands out. And we knew it was going to happen eventually. Crash grows -2 sizes that day.
But I get halfling luck, so...
That's true. And you're just trying to be inconspicuous, and what better way than to shrink? We'll see if that fixes itself in a moment. But nothing really stands out as far as anybody coming in looking suspicious or looking like they don't belong. Everybody who comes in seems to be a patron of some kind, and nobody matching the brief like outfit that you saw. There was somebody in a cloak, but you didn't get a whole lot more detail than that. Nobody seems to come through the door or anything like that.
Okay, I mean, after like 30, 45 minutes, Tessin will head upstairs, I guess. He's got to sleep at some point.
What time is it? It's already past midnight,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
going on probably 1 o'clock by the time you
I'm going
guys
to bed.
monitor things for a little while.
I'll go to bed.
Okay.
I'm
Crash,
going to
are
bed,
you-
but I'm keeping my sword next to me.
Nice. You roll over on it and stab yourself in the middle of the night.
I have slucked in my armor on more than one occasion.
Yeah, you have.
The sword is nothing at this point.
Isn't that bad for you? I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably not healthy. Not a lot of my behavior is very healthy, though. I don't know if you've noticed that.
It's true. He burns the candle at both ends.
Also
So,
chops off the feet at both ends.
yeah. So everybody gets a full night's rest. You go back to full HP if you're Isaac. Nobody else had taken any damage, but you're restored to full HP, hit dice, etc. The level of exhaustion does fade for Isaac because you're able to get a surprisingly long night's sleep. Since you got a head start in particular, you're kind of just out, and you're not sure if it's just the specific incident with your father or the whole thing over the last few days or what, but you find sleep comes actually very easily.
It's my brain tumor growing.
It's
Caused by...
It could
you
be.
think it's the
Just did.
stress of straight murdering your father and going into a coma, maybe?
No, I think it's the brain tumor.
Probably the
Okay.
tumor. Yeah. It's more tragic if it's
every-
the tumor.
Every memory you steal, just the tumor grows. Just...
Yeah, it's going to start pressing on the frontal lobe, and, that's going to be it. You're just going to fall over in the street someday.
Wink and Blick's area, you'll start talking incessantly.
Yeah.
Dang, we're going to have like a good victory. I'm going to be walking down the street. It's like collapse.
Just this
dead.
little bit of blood comes down your nose.
Yeah.
And you're just...
And Tessian's like, you're bleeding. And I'm like, what? And
You
cut
have
to the
go
funeral.
Find Dr. House, but whatever version then he is here. And
Yeah, and then all we have is Dr. Karash, and he doesn't know anything.
he just thinks
Hey!
it's this.
Isaac sees his father, and he holds up his hand in a finger gun, and he goes, bang, and he falls over on the steps.
Karash is like, we must pray to Cord. It's like, I don't think it's going to help in this game.
I do not think Cord is the god of tumors. So,
Oh, well.
you guys awake the following morning, and for the sake of hand waving, because you already spent some time last time setting this up, your arrangements have been completed to your specifications. In fact, there's a couple of extra canteens in there because you were such a good customer, in addition to the larger container that holds additional water. Kellen seems to have given you the hookup.
Nice.
Once
I
again-
thank her,
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys hit it off. Cordial conversation as always, but not with a ton of time because once again, you're, other things to do.
And I would go shopping in the morning as well. I wanted to do that. I think we did most of that off the air.
Yeah, I guess
So we
for the
have
sake
to
of the
roll for
viewer,
shit.
yeah, he went and found some components for a couple spells that he needed to find some things for. There is, in the morning, he's able to do this pretty early. There's an alchemist shop among all those things in the market, the Sandy Outlet, and that rooftop section. So we took care of that off the side just because, some quick shopping, might as well save the time. Anything else you guys want to do before you head out? You now have a covered wagon, camels ready to pull it, adequate, if not more than adequate water supplies. There's a couple of heavy blankets in there, which she explains is to sort of help with some protection against the elements. While it seems counterintuitive to some extent because it's hot out there, and you can already feel this in the morning, by the way, as testing as you go out to kind of run these errands. I don't know if anybody goes with you, but what was sort of cool / nearly cold the night before has now been replaced by what you expected to run into when you first came out here, which is hot, but not necessarily as hot as you'd expect with the sun bearing down the way it is. And that's not even just the shaded areas with the coverings from the rooftops. You also get the sense, just because you're magically inclined, that there is some sort of effect over the town to mitigate the temperature to some extent. It doesn't make it comfortable inside the city, but it makes it more tolerable.
Interesting. Okay.
So unless anybody else is running any errands before you head out, you guys can, when Tessian returns with everything, assemble at the wagon and decide who's going to drive and who's going to try and befriend these camels. And
I will do the befriending and the driving.
thought perhaps, yeah.
What a surprise.
Do
What
the
a
camels have names?
Well, I don't know. Should I scroll down to my NPCs and give them 2 names? Karash.
Yes.
I just want.
Or I could name them myself, but I was just wondering if they already had names to begin
Can't
with.
you just ask them their name at this point? Don't you have the ability to talk to animals yet?
Oh.
Ask them if they like their names or if they hate them.
I'm gonna
if
do
it's
that.
their, like,
Actually, do I have? I
slave
have
names or
animal
whatever.
friendship.
I have no idea.
Is that the
Their
thing?
slave name.
You're probably looking for speak with animals.
I've been
Which
watching
I
too
actually
much Game
don't
of
know if I
Thrones.
have.
How do you?
I mean, you technically do because you should have access to all spells, but we're not giving you a 150 spell deep book because that's dumb. So
Yeah.
Level 1.
sure. It's not a question of what level it is. It's a question of how do you sort through 150 spells and roll 20, asshole.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's okay.
What Mike wants right now is for you to have a full-blown conversation with the camels instead of trying to get to the portion where we can incorporate our guest star.
I kind of want to talk to animals.
I also kind of like the idea of it, to be fair, to stop throwing shade. I also like the rattlesnake-esque effect that happened when Mike made that noise that he couldn't hear, but we all did. And the viewers have.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it kind of like staggered. It was funny. It was like... Anyways.
It was good. That's
The
fine.
camels do not have names.
Okay.
You're free to name them yourself.
Cool.
They're both brown.
They're both brown.
They both
okay.
have humps.
Okay.
Do they have one?
Let's
two
go
2
with
humps. They're both dromedaries.
Calypso as the first one.
Calypso. Calypso. And?
Yeah,
it's not so easy, is it? Not so easy, is
it's not.
it?
I don't like coming up with names on the fly, but I still want to do it anyway.
I'll make a deal with you, Chris. The next time I ask for an NPC's name that you already have one for, I'll come up with one.
That's fine. I actually kind of like that arrangement. You can be more attached to them that way.
Yeah.
If your names suck, though, I'm going to veto them.
Can we just name them Camel 1 and Camel 2 and...
No, that is what horrible people do who don't like animals.
Or the Cat in the Hat.
So horrible people.
Yeah.
Well,
so where's the lie?
Dr. Seuss.
And then, I don't know, we'll just do like, I don't know, I like this Patiri name. Let's go with that. Calypso and Patiri.
Oh,
Calypso and Patiri.
Wow,
put
these are
first
nicer
without-
names than most of the children have back in Lycidian.
Creme and Patisserie.
And I'm just gently stroking their fur. I'm friends with them now, right? Do I have to roll a check for this?
I just walked up to them and I gave them a name, so we're friends now, right?
I mean, level 9 druid. I feel like they should be inclined to be like, hey, what's up, bro?
You do know that it's nice to be able to kind of acclimatize these animals, so you kind of take a moment to get to know them a little bit and put them at ease. So you can make an animal handling check.
Yes.
But no, you have not. You're not level 20 yet, so you can't just befriend animals by snapping your fingers.
That's fine. 11.
I'm every animal's friend. That's just a fact.
11. As much as you can get a camel to be friendly to you, which is in itself an exercise, as you're finding out as you encounter them for the first time, they seem to be okay with you. Like, they're not spitting on you.
That's good. I probably wouldn't like that.
They don't seem to especially like you or anybody in the group for that matter, or being alive. But
Well, I don't like them, so...
that's probably par for the
Isaac,
course.
You're not helping.
They look at you with a special disdain.
they judge patricide very harshly.
Yeah.
In this desert.
Not a fan. Their father was shot by someone in the heart and
Oh no!
never came back from it. He didn't have a
Glue
luxury
factory.
healer. Yeah. Is that what they make? Do they make camels into glue? Is that like horses?
Papa
so, but,
Agamemnon.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it. Anyways,
They all look the same to me.
Oh no!
Oh.
wow. So you have the camels on your side. You're able to load everything up into the wagon, and the question is, how is everybody going to be arranged? You're going to put 2 people in the front? You can, but you won't be under the cover.
Oh,
Well, I have to be out there either way, so I would probably encourage the group to stay in the wagon.
I'll
and-
go. I'll go in the front with Lena.
Aw,
I invite the heat and the pain.
okay.
Helps me feel alive.
Actually,
There
this
is-
is the first time you've been up in the front with me for a while
Yeah.
now. Nice.
You
Hooray.
would have,
Also
you
with
would have
my
an edgelord reason. Like,
my olive
do you
skin
want Lena's
tone.
company? No, you want the company
Of
of the burning sun on my skin.
My olive
Damn.
skin tone is perfect for this blistering heat too.
And your black outfit.
Yes.
The skin
Put
I
your
can
mask on,
believe.
too.
The
That'll-
outfit I'm a little concerned
No, well,
about.
this is a perfect excuse for me to take my shirt off, which I am always looking for.
And I just
pop it
kind of
down a
like
little bit.
roll my eyes of like, of course this is happening.
Are you taking your shirt off?
I'm gonna take my shirt off. Do we have sunscreen?
No.
I'm gonna take it
Sunscreen,
off
I
still, and I'm gonna wrap it around my head, my cloak.
Your whole cloak over
Well,
your
like
head.
part of it. Part of it. I'm going for the Tom Hanks in Castaway look.
Okay.
Show up at this ancient shrine looking like a bunch of white people that got lost on the Salt River. Like,
Oh my God.
like
Hello, Aurelia. My respectful guardians have accompanied me to the shrine. And
Why are
I
you
just
guys
over there
all
going,
sweaty?
I'm
Weird looking.
chewing on the straw and I spit.
you have a drink with an umbrella in it.
Carved into a monkey face.
Hey there, Aurelia.
How's it going?
What you up to, girl?
What's up, doll?
Oh God.
So,
ain't seen a little raft down with a bunch of brewskis, have you? We
Why are
lost
you
that
all
one
doing
10
Grail's
miles back.
accent?
it's how we remember her.
Oh God. As a hick? What?
You got a can opener in there?
So, you guys start making your way southwest, which is the direction you got from your meditation.
Cool.
Yes.
You have a pretty clear sense of it. Maybe not exact, but you're, again, within like 5 miles or so, and you're hoping that you'll have that familiar sense as you get closer to it that perhaps it will tug your heart in the right direction. And as soon as you leave the interior of the city, like as soon as you make your way outside of the city limits, you start to feel the desert at its full capacity. Like there's basically just this cutoff point where you're like, oh yeah, it definitely is softening some of the damage from this, because the second you get outside of that little, not even a barrier of sorts, but this field of effect, you go, oh yeah, desert, right, of course. The journey is slow going. Camels not quite as fast as horses, but getting the job done, and certainly used to this type of climate, to the sand underneath their hooves. They're perfectly accommodated for this, so that's not an issue. It's just not quite as fast as the horses you might have taken, but still make good progress over the next hour or two as you set off in that direction. One of the things you're quickly finding is the Alizarin Desert's just harsh, unforgiving, unrelenting. You're not seeing almost anything in the way of wildlife. It sort of reminds you of your time outside of Sagara Cove, except that still had nature. That still had grass and trees and bushes and plenty of things that sort of reminded you of home to some extent. Out here, you in particular, Lena, almost feel as out of place as you have within cities. There is still this connection to nature, unlike in these more like metal cities that you've been in where you kind of feel out of place. This is just so unlike anything you've ever experienced. Because the Solenwood is a pretty cool place overall. It's very shaded underneath because of the canopy of trees that envelops the area.
Yeah.
And also the climate on that side of the continent is much more tepid. So this just kind of feels like this is nature. You definitely feel this connection to it to some extent, but it feels like a corrupted form of nature almost, not in a natural or a magical way. Just like this isn't what nature's supposed to be like.
I really hope we're not attacked right now. For one, I don't have the energy to fight back in this heat. Two, my guns are metal and burn my hand off if I try to wield them.
That's a good point, actually.
Probably just lay down in the sand and take it.
Let's not do that.
I will have everybody make a survival check. For the people out front, that check is at disadvantage.
I was going to say, do I even
Can
need
I-
to make the check, Chris? Because I so clearly am going to be fine.
Well, we know Isaac's going to mope about the conditions he's in, but the question is how much he's actually feeling them.
Okay.
So Tessie is using prestidigitation to chill his clothing.
Oh my god. I'm just gonna
Oh.
periodically pour water over my head. I am not built for the desert.
Then I'll say both of you have advantage.
Oh, well, I
Hey!
already rolled one.
15.
13.
Oh, my survival's so low.
Well, I'm glad I
Oh!
rolled with advantage.
17.
Okay.
16.
The feeling you're getting as you've been out here for a couple of hours, just making your way slowly but surely in that direction, is this is much like the extreme cold on the Alceus Peninsula, just not a place you want to spend time in unless you absolutely have to. Like, for the time being, all of you with those rolls are holding up okay, but you can feel where, like, extended exposure to this is going to be a negative for yourself. And that isn't surprising or anything. You're not like, oh my god, that desert's so hot and unreliable. I can't believe it. But still, just being out in it, experiencing it, feeling it. The wind in the area, which you think might help cool you as you're sweating, doesn't. It just kind of stings because it's so hot. And even in the back, that's helped by the covered wagon, both the sun and the wind. But even so, some of it gets back there, and you just feel kind of miserable.
Lena, would you rather be in extreme hot or extreme cold?
Personally, I think I'd prefer the cold. The Sowenwood's a pretty cool place overall. And I wouldn't want to live in Frosthaven necessarily, but I like the snow at least.
Same here. I always visualize what happens to meat in extreme hot and extreme cold. In cold, it just freezes, but retains its qualities. In heat, it cooks. And it's never the same again. I think that's what's happening to my brain right now.
You can go in the back if it'll help.
No, it's a purifying experience.
But you just said you described your brain as cooking.
Yes.
Well then, I guess we'll just cook out here together.
Like 2 hours or so into this, I'm going to start mumbling prayers to Cord for rain. And about 3 hours into this, I'm going to get mildly bothered and irritable and lose my shit. And I'm going to start tossing buckets of water on people.
Do you want to roll to see if you lose your shit, or you just know
yes,
that?
I am not built for this. I am not.
God, I use prestidigitation to cool some of your shit.
Good.
You're right.
Yeah, we probably need to make sure he doesn't dump too much water.
Karash
otherwise
is
we'll
losing
waste it
his
all.
goddamn mind. Karash, do I hear you praying to Cord?
Yeah, it's not quiet.
Okay.
It's mumbled, but it's not quietly.
Karash, I
mumbled.
can't help but notice your prayers are going unanswered.
Building a city in the middle of this desert was incredibly arrogant. I do not understand anyone on this forsaken continent.
It's almost like Cord doesn't care about you.
God loves me. I know he does. It is quite obvious. If you forget, he gave me the healing that helped keep you alive just yesterday.
Did he do that, or are you just good at that? Are you talented and you kept me alive yourself?
What?